I think a pilgrimage takes on that journey, that letting loose of the things around you that you can't do unless you go somewhere. I think some of that vulnerability of going somewhere with people you don't know, to a place you've never been, seeing things that you've always heard about or read about but never going to, and I think that's what really excited us about a pilgrimage, that we're going to something.
I'd never been out of the country, so I wanted to go somewhere. It was our 30th wedding anniversary this year, and we wanted to do something special. And our good friend, Father Justin, was doing a pilgrimage to Rome. I wanted to learn more about the Catholic Church, and especially St. Paul of the Cross, and we thought that would be a great trip to take.
I wanted to go to Rome. I wanted to see St. Peter's. I wanted to see Pope Francis, and I like meeting new people, and I certainly got to meet a lovely bunch of people.
I didn't think I was holy enough to go on a pilgrimage. I'm serious, because I'd never been on one, didn't know what to expect. When I finally got there, I go, this is great, this is for everybody. You don't have to be a holy person. This will make you holy.
When my wife first came to me and proposed going on a pilgrimage, quite frankly, I was very skeptical. I'd been to Italy over 5 times. The focus really was architecture, it was art, and it was history. But the one thing a pilgrimage did was, I spent 42 years in business, and business consumes you. And what I found was, it really connected me with the church, or should I say reconnected me with the church.
You know, it's funny, when you go to another country, you think that we're so different, but we're so very much alike. And when I landed in Rome, I felt very much that as a pilgrim, and as a Christian, as a Catholic, and as part Italian, I was home. We started out in Rome, and as soon as we landed, we got our luggage and hopped on a bus, and we were on a road trip. So we were in the Tuscan countryside almost immediately, and it was phenomenal. You felt not that you were abandoning Rome, but you were opening the doors to another experience in a beautiful area of Italy that we'd never seen before.
I really thought that was nice that we started out in the countryside to enjoy Italy that way before we came back to the metropolis of Rome, which was completely different. Beautiful little city, had the colored walls that you see in Europe. Was fortunate enough to take my camera and see these colors, and tried to get up in the morning so I could see the sunrise come up on them.
When we got to Tuscany, everyone was saying, this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. I just said, this is going to be one of the greatest pilgrimages.
I love Italian food, and we were not disappointed in the least. Every meal was wonderful. We had a sense of community because we all ate together. And it was a special experience because it wasn't like, drive through, get something to eat and move. You sat, you talked, you had a glass of wine.
That was one of the things I was worried about on the trip was, we're eating all these meals with people I don't know. And yet, the first day you want to make sure you had to sit with people you knew, but after that, you didn't care. Whatever table you sat at, it was just going to be some friends.
Going out at night that was a fun trip because we got to know each other, had a little wine. But some of the other people, I know them at the cathedral, but I didn't know them well until I went out with them. Now they're some really good friends. We talk all the time. Once we see each other, we're running up to each other, hugging each other and saying, hey, remember what we did here, remember what we did there. And I got to know people that I thought I knew, but I didn't know them until we were out with them.
It's difficult to really know your parish priests just by going to Mass. How you really get to understand your parish priests, their love for their congregation, is really spending time with them, and that's true with any relationship. And what it enabled us to do was really understand and see our parish priests for who they are.
The pilgrimage truly was a mix of fun and spirituality. We did a lot of the things that were related to our Catholic faith, but walking around the Colosseum was just incredible. Walking around Rome and seeing so much history. Everywhere you turn, there was history there.
I went down to all the ancient ruins. That amazes me. I like Roman history anyways, and that amazed me with these things that were like 3,000 years old are still there. We went to the Colosseum, all through the Forum. I really enjoyed that part of Rome.
When the church reached Rome, it had made it, and the message of Jesus had been brought to the ends of the earth. It's the center where the Pope is, the Bishop of Rome is head of the Catholic Church. So for so many people, they wanted to experience it, and that's an experience you'll never forget.
Each and every day we were growing as a group, because I really think that the priest did a wonderful job. We had a great tour guide, but on top of that we were all held together by our faith, because every day we started with Mass. It's truly where we are bound together, not just as Catholics and Christians, but as people of God.
And we also had a nice theme in the footsteps of St. Paul of the Cross. So when we went to the Vatican, and we were at St. Peter's, I asked if we could have Mass in the Chapel of the Canons, where he was ordained a priest.
If I said to you when you go home, what is the greatest thing that happened on our pilgrimage? So I love the Passionist Sisters. I love seeing all ancient Rome. But none of that would compare with what we are doing each day here. This is the most important thing that happens on our pilgrimage. It's the greatest action that could happen.
I went to Mass more over that pilgrimage, and that meant more to me, especially the Mass in St. Peter's, where again it really grounded me to my faith.
And then to meet Pope Francis, you know, to see him and to see him waving and blessing and hear him speak words of encouragement to the thousands of pilgrims that come, and to be part of that.
It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, very bright blue sky, and there were probably, I don't know, maybe 30,000 people there. It was a huge crowd. But to see this new Pope, to bring hope to so many faces and so many lives that were there, was incredible.
I was more excited for my wife. I had seen John Paul II, who was like a grandfather to me during World Youth Day, and I was just hoping that she would get to see him, and she did. I mean, he was right next to us when he rode by. It was awesome. I admire this Pope very much, and to be in the same area with him, and it was just awesome. It was one of the thrills of the trip.
I was lucky enough to get the good pictures of the Pope. We went into the Vatican, and we were sitting next to some Italians, and we kind of smiled at each other, and they kind of pointed to where the Pope was going to come, and I was only 5 or 6 seats away from that area. So when he came down in his Pope mobile, we all kind of ran to that spot, and I jumped up on a chair so I could get up above everybody, and it was really nice. And then we got done taking the pictures, the Italians and we shared pictures back and forth and gave thumbs up, and that was special. That was special.
And I was reminded when I was in that square, all these people from all over the world, as they called out the roll call of the countries, and you heard the cheers going up from all over the St. Peter's Square, just remind you of this universality of this church.
There were the infirmed, there were the elderly, there were the young, and everybody stopped for him. Everybody stopped to watch him. And to hear them call out, "Papa, Papa." Holy Father. It was an incredible experience.
I made it to St. Peter's Square, and that had been my life's ambition, one day to go to Rome and to stand in the square, and I did it. And I'll never forget that. And everything else was just gravy on top of it. It was beautiful.
The trip would not have been complete had we not had that time in Rome. Not only the Vatican, but we went to the Basilica of Mary Major. We went to some beautiful, beautiful churches. I think one of the most special places for me was when we went to the Scala Santa, the Holy Steps. It was humbling. We were walking the footsteps of our Lord. I know that there was something very special about doing that with some of the people that were on the pilgrimage. I know that as we went up the steps, I looked over just briefly and I could see there was another pilgrim from our church, and she and I were going up the steps almost at the same pace. And I thought, we are one, we are in union.
You end up realizing all of us come from different places with different problems, and we all let them go, and we all share this thing called Catholicism. It was really beautiful.
We were all Catholics on a pilgrimage, and this trip, we grew together as a community. Our last night of the pilgrimage was probably my absolute favorite, and we really came together. We went to a wonderful restaurant.
They brought in an Italian DJ after we had a wonderful meal, and then the whole place exploded.
And we had everybody on that floor nonstop dancing for close to 3 hours. So we took people from many walks of life, someone who probably never danced before, people who threw down their canes.
I tell you what, it has to be a good night if you get my wife out there dancing, because she's about as reserved as I am.
People were having fun, they were dancing. We had a priest up there dancing, and we're going, priests don't dance.
Over that week, we could celebrate that we really reconnected with our religion, we reconnected with our spouses, we reconnected with our church. And it was just a great way to finalize our last evening in Italy.
The week after I came back, I went out to the steps of the cathedral, and one of the men who was on the pilgrimage, a good man, he came up to me and said, "Father, I want to thank you." Oh, I said, "Oh, don't, it was really good, wasn't it?" He said, "No, it was life-changing."
It makes you closer to God. It makes you closer to the people around you that came with you.
I'm more engaged in my parish now. I'm taking on more responsibility. I think it's brought me closer to my wife, and I think it gave me a new level of compassion for other people.
It's a faith event that can really transform you, make you different, make you love our Lord more. It was, there were tears that it was coming to an end.
It gives you so much more than a regular tour, because a tour ends. In my view, this tour never ends, because it's, again, connecting with your church, and it's connecting you with new friends within your parish and your community.